Hello and welcome to episode 133 of Naija's Geeking Out, your favorite comic book podcast with a Naija twist. Yeah, we've been away for a bit. I mean, I've been away for a bit, and last week was absolutely horrendous because you had Tunde, and that was with no one to steady the ship. But it's okay, guys. I'm back. I heard your pleas. I saw your tweets. I saw your DMs. I'm back. Okay, I'm here to stabilize the ship. But
You've
as
come
always,
to,
I've got these goons. I couldn't
you've
do
come,
much.
you've,
sure
you've
our
come to
fans
save
will
us.
tell you that last week was an amazing episode.
Dead thing, bro. Last week I was just like, what are these guys talking about? Well, I just today, how you doing, man?
I'm good. Summer is here finally, so yes, happy and
Nice.
enjoying everything. Yeah,
And it's a packed summer. It's a packed summer. I mean,
it is.
what next week we have Across the Spider-Verse. No, in 2 weeks we got
Yes.
Across the Spider-Verse. Then
Yeah.
we got The Flash.
Yes.
Then
Yes.
like realistically, how many years would we say The Flash has been in like development hell?
Almost
Quite
10
a-
years.
Is it
10?
almost or is it 10?
No, more than 10. I'm talking like pre-Muschetti. Like there've always been people linked with doing The Flash, right?
When was it first announced? Was it
And people
post
saying
post BVS?
No,
It was
no.
post BVS. It was
Okay.
announced.
What I mean is
Okay.
the Flash movie. They've
Yep.
wanted to do a Flash movie since before DCEU was a thing.
Oh, okay. Yeah. But I'm not even saying when they announced this particular version, this film. This
Uh,
film
yeah.
itself.
Yeah,
I
they
think it was
did, like,
just
they did,
post BVS.
yeah,
Yeah,
they
it
did,
was
that,
post BVS.
that lined up with Cyborg and
Yeah.
like they put some nonsense films like that.
Oh
that
God,
never
they're supposed to make a cyborg movie.
They were supposed to
Damn.
make a Cyborg movie.
Oh God.
They were supposed to make a Cyborg movie.
Yeah, they were. Yeah.
Anyway, all right. So how are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, I was gonna say glad to have you back. I'm not sure that's quite true, but for the sake of being nice,
Yes.
let's pretend that it's true.
My God,
Me and Tunde had some good soul searching last week. You know,
You don't have
so
souls.
it's almost like a therapy session for us.
I listened to it. It was good. It was good.
Yeah.
All right. So kicking off today, we have some really brief news first, and then we're going to go into like a few comic books that we've read over the course of last week, and kind of give our reviews, high level reviews, and recommendations whether to read or to stay away from. Right?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So I want to start with some news, some rather sad, negative news. We've lost another one, guys. We've lost someone who is. I mean, we don't really think of him as a geek, but in reality, like he has contributed a lot to our,
Geek culture. Yeah.
geek culture. Yeah, both even in terms of like swords and sandals, or comic book stuff, or even like Star Wars. So we lost Ray Stevenson on Sunday. It was just announced today. Ray Stevenson, if you remember, he was Frank Castle in Punisher Warzone, a movie that I really, really, really like, and
Yep.
got absolutely slated. I don't even know. Wait, today, have you seen Punisher Warzone?
Yeah,
What did
I've
you think?
I didn't particularly like it. It was just
Okay. It felt very much to me like Punisher Max. I don't know if you ever read the Punisher Max books,
Yes,
where
I
they were
did.
like
Yep.
ultra violent, like super, like over the top. But honestly, it kind of worked. Or the War Journal, like Punisher War Journal, it was sort of like that. But what did you think about Punisher Warzone?
I loved it a lot. I
A lot.
I
Yeah.
actually think it was my favorite Punisher.
Yeah. Before John Barenthal's. Yeah.
Oh yeah, not talking about Netflix. I'm talking about in terms of movies.
Movies.
So
Yes.
we're talking about
Dolph Lundgren's one.
Dolph Lundgren and
Ray
Thomas
Stevenson
Jane.
and Thomas Jane. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's my favorite.
Agreed. Easily.
I felt it was no frills. Got down to
Captured the
business.
spirit
Yeah.
of Frank Castle. Yeah.
So I enjoyed Warzone. So I'm quite sad to hear the news. And he also he's appeared in the Thor movies.
Yes.
Yeah,
As,
all the whole stag.
Apart from
Vostag.
the
Yeah.
very last one. Yeah. All the good ones.
Yeah, so yeah, I mean, he's a loss to the industry. As you said, he's also been in some of the Star Wars shows. I think he's also going to be in Ashoka. That's
Yeah,
yeah.
it's going to
Yeah.
be. Yeah.
And what, 58? Do we know what the
Yeah,
cause of
50.
death is yet? Have we?
I have no idea. I don't think they've
They haven't
released
announced it,
that
have
to
they?
us. Yeah, so
Yeah,
we don't have that detail.
yeah,
But I mean, once on the age, it kind of sent a little tremor through me because
yeah, yeah,
he's not far away from my age.
yeah, yeah,
And I think, what is this? That's a grim. Is a grim reaper hovering over me as well? As
yeah,
I
yeah.
speak to you,
Don't worry,
yeah.
we'll
So
replace you. I mean, when you the pod will go on. We'll play Celine Dion like the first episode.
you
Like
know
the
what?
Oh
first
God!
episode, you don't make it. We'll just play Celine Dion. My heart will go on.
I had this I
We'll
had
pick it up
this
from there.
I had this flash forward image of Kex going, oh, episode 140. Oh, we don't have that one today.
140.
What? Why would you go 140?
In seven,
Episode-
I mean,
seven
you know,
episodes.
say like
I thought you were going to say like maybe episode like 400 or something.
dread or
Episode-
something. They're like,
I
140.
can say episode 140. Oh yeah, we don't have that one. He's passed away, but we've got somebody better.
Oh,
yeah.
God.
I mean, I wish his family. I send them my condolences, and he will always remain in our memories. We're geeks. We always remember our beloved actors.
Absolutely.
So yeah,
We do.
100%. Yeah. So may his family, we give them our deepest condolences, and may they have the fortitude to carry on. So, moving on to the comic books that we wanted to talk about. Yes. So, over the course of the last kind of week, 2 weeks, we've been reading different comic books that have been released, both like the big two and the, I think big three at this point, because Images.
Yeah, big three. Yeah, well,
Yeah.
if you say big three, they come next before Valiant, I believe.
I
Obviously.
mean,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Today, you don't agree? 3?
No, I say here. No, I don't agree on big three.
Okay.
I don't think their numbers are up enough to be big three. But then again, the big two numbers have been shrinking. That you can't even call them big two again.
Yeah, I think if I would go so far say like the big two are leaning on, the other parts of the franchise, the movies, the
Yeah.
animated shows, the series, which Image don't have. But in terms of like raw book power, I don't really think they're shifting units. Like,
I know, but they're still shifting more units than Image.
I mean, Batman
but
would
they are not
always
shifting
go
as
for
much
outsell and
as
oversell anything. Yeah,
they are not shifting anything near close to what manga is shifting right now. Even in the US.
exactly.
Like the difference is just huge.
Exactly.
But even in the even they're not even shifting anything.
Even in their
close to
heydays, they
their
have never
heyday.
shifted as.
Yes. So manga has always been, I think, a whole different level. But even if you compare back in the, I think it was, I can't remember what part of the 90s it was when X-Men 1 would be 1 million copies, Spider-Man 1 would be 1 million copies. Now we're talking tens of thousands or 10, it's
so something
pathetic.
is, one of these days we should talk about that because something is obviously already broken with how the big two are publishing comics nowadays. They need a restructuring because it's not as if people are not willing to buy books. People are willing to buy. We are seeing them buying manga in massive amounts. So something is wrong with how they are doing their publishing line. They need to
It's
fix it.
worth a discussion.
Yeah.
I guess it's worth a discussion.
Yeah.
And I think, strangely enough, part of the problem might even be this whole push into film and TV. And I think a lot of people just don't read comics anymore. When I say comics, I'm talking about American comics.
Yeah.
And we need to look at the difference between why people are still reading the manga. And when I say reading, I'm not talking about just reading it and buying it.
And buying it, following it.
But I disagree. The biggest
go on.
mangas have their own TV shows and movies, and they are still pushing millions of copies. One Piece, for example, I think it was one of the biggest mangas in the world. It has one of the longest running TV shows.
Yeah.
A movie is coming out on Netflix. That's really big with the fans.
We need to. You can't say that with your straight face and then carry on like.
I don't know why you laughed. Okay. I think this should be a good topic. Maybe next week.
It should be a topic on its own. We can take a look at it and talk about it.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Okay. I agree.
So we're talking about the big two and a half, and so including like DC, Marvel, and Image. Now let's kick this off with a book that I was reading last week, and that is The Descenders or Descenders. It's not even The Descenders by Rick Remender, which is an image book. Today, I don't know. Have you read this before?
I've actually not read it. It's one of those books that I usually just pass across. I hear it's really good though.
It is. It is. It is. And as always, one thing I like about Rick Remender is he's not afraid to set up a whole new world, and this is something that you particularly like. uh, Again, it's something that wasn't existing and it just comes. It's a brainchild of his that okay, I'm going to set up this world and these characters, and this is the rule, and this is what's happened. Um, Now, this one is one that's like a far future where humans are living with androids and robots that help them do
Wait,
daily tasks. Yeah,
sorry, hold on. The
yeah.
Descender, are you sure
Descenders.
is Remender or Jeff Lemire?
Is it Jeff Lemire? Now you've got me confused.
Keep on
Uh,
talking. I'll do a
okay.
quick check.
Do a
Yeah,
quick Google.
because
Quick
if it's
Google.
Jeff Lemire, that's probably why I've not read it, because some of his image books
I know
turn
you
me
are
off.
you are away from his horror stuff. Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
my god, now you've got me confused and scared that it might be Jeff Lemire. But yes, so this book is anyway back on track. So yeah, so it's in the
And
far
he's
future.
he's right.
Oh,
It's definitely man. Yeah.
Rick
sorry,
Remender did Black Science, a similar
sorry.
book, but Black Science was Rick Remender. Yeah,
Thank
that
you,
I've
thank you.
read.
That, yes, so let's not upset Jeff Lemire out there, who actually did Moon Knight, one of my favorite runs of Moon Knight. Anyway, so yeah, so this is a comic book about far future. Androids are living with humans, or humans are living with androids, everyday life, and then there's a massive attack by this absolutely gigantic robot decimates like decimates like this uh planetary there's like a planetary alliance basically, and they're on
Yep.
this major planet, and the robot appears, destroys the planet, reduces the population by like three quarters or something. So in a frenzy, and then disappears. So this huge Galactus size robot comes, decimates the planet, and then disappears. So what happens in the frenzy? The humans start attacking robots and do a culling of robots, and basically like do without robots, kill all the robots, the child companions, everything. And then 10 years later, we open with a child called Tim, except he's not a child; he's actually a robot. He's a robot companion. He's about 10, 11 years old.
Yep.
Now he went with his human family to like a mining colony. So they've been off planet and they've been on a mining colony for a decade. But while they were on that colony, there was an accident, like a gas pocket. They hit a gas pocket or something, which killed all the humans, but left him alive. So the news of the calling never got to him, and he's just still been functioning. And then somehow he sends a signal. Sorry, somehow he sends a signal, and the new planetary alliance now pick up the signal like, oh, this is has a robot tag on it. So there's an android that's still available, alive out there, and not just that, but the codex from Tim 21, as we call him, is similar to the codex that they, a signal that they picked from those Galactus type robots when they first
Yep.
appeared. So they were like, oh, could he be either the predecessor or the bridge or something that we can use to attack uh, those robots, or if they ever come back. So it sets up like on a whole other adventure, and it's a book that I really enjoyed. Simply because it's a whole new world, the compelling characters, and I would just like the art. I like the look of Tim 21, and the adventure. He's a he's a he's a companion robot, so he's very empathetic. He's very he's almost like a child because he was designed to take care of the child in the family, in the colony, that the family that went to the mining colony. So yes, so for me, I would definitely recommend this Descenders book. So you should go ahead and read it by Jeff Lemire. Thank you today for the correction. Did you ever get around to reading this book?
Yeah, I did actually. I read this quite a while back, to be honest, and it
Yeah.
was when it was coming out issue by issue.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it a lot. I can't remember the details like the way you have just now, but I do know the overall broad strokes, and I liked the book a lot.
Yeah.
Funny enough, I did like that character, the Tim. He had
Yeah.
a Tim something 11, or I can't remember.
21. Tim
So
21.
yeah, Tim 21. So I like that character, and it was so well written as well, and you
Yes.
feel for him
Yeah,
because
exactly.
yeah,
Exactly. Go on, sorry.
yeah. No, so what you have is
Is
just
there quick question? Is there a robot or an android?
a robot, pure
Purely
robots.
a robot.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So you feel for him because all of a sudden it's like a robot that's all alone in this universe, almost
Yes.
universally
Yes. And
hated
everybody's after him. And
by all the humans.
yes.
And so normal humans hate him because he's simply a robot, and they've now been trained to destroy any robot they see.
Yes.
Then you've got this special army units because the
Exactly.
code or frequency he uses is similar to the giant that attacked them. They are thinking there's a connection. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of players. It's quite a not convoluted because that sounds bad. It's quite an intricate story.
That's the word.
It's well written. I enjoyed it. The motivations are very good, and even when they do the emotions between the characters who had some
Yes.
empathy for
Yes.
Team 21, it was done very
Yeah.
well, and that was
Yeah.
yeah, I enjoyed it. But to me, I've got
Yeah.
no
No
reservations.
gripes. Yeah.
I would recommend it to people. It's a
Yeah.
yes, a big yes for me.
And it's 32 issues. So
Yeah.
all done, complete 32 issues. So go ahead and read. Descenders. So let's move from one that we liked to one that maybe we like, maybe we didn't like. Cyborg. Do you want to talk about Cyborg before we move to Nemesis?
Oh god. Okay. So let me talk about Cyborg. And there's no point in me wasting much time in
This is Vic Stone,
this.
right?
This is it. Sorry.
Vic Stone. Victor Stone.
Yeah, Victor Stone, Cyborg. This
Sites
is a
from the Titan.
character I've always been very disparaging about. This comic does not do anything to change that. It's very poorly drawn.
Yeah, the art is not good.
It's terrible. The story is bad to me as well. Uh this
I
a
was
new number
hoping this
one.
would be good.
It's a new number one. It's part of this Dawn of DC BS that's
Yeah.
going on at the moment. It's just bad. And I've always said, for some reason, there's not a good cyborg comic. There isn't, and I think people struggle with this character. I don't know why. And I think the best, if I look back to comics, the best version of him I can even remember was back in the day of when Teen Titans was the heydays of Teen Titans. The Jericho.
Yeah, Marv Wolfman and George
Yes,
Perez.
yes. I think that was when he was at his height comic wise. As a black person, as a black character,
Yeah.
I never felt for him as a black person, if I'm being
No,
honest.
no.
At all. He never
Oh no, to be fair, his blackness wasn't intricate to
that's okay. So I guess that's what informed how I felt about him. So when I think of Cyborg, I think, oh, is this character? Oh yeah, he's also black.
Yeah.
He never was anything to me.
Yeah.
And I've always said to somebody like DC, I always think DC have a problem generally with black characters. I rarely ever feel them.
One thing that would have been nice is
Yep.
if he had gotten a remember that the other history of DC.
Oh, very good. Yes.
If someone if John Ridley had picked
I've
on
given
him,
him. Yeah.
had given him, I think we would have felt it a little bit more.
Yeah.
Because
Oh, yeah.
I get the impression that he is supposed to be now. I know this sounds really weird, but he is supposed to be like a black character, right? He's a jock.
Yes. Yep.
He's someone who you're supposed to get that impression that he leans in on his blackness, and I don't mean it in a bad way,
Yep.
but it's integral to who he is. Sort of like Jon Stewart. Jon Stewart is not going to say black power, but that's a black man there. And, he has his pride and he has his he what that means, whatever that means. Same with Jefferson Pierce, Black Lightning. You know that is important to that character. I just feel that he hasn't gotten that level of someone good actually writes him and writes a little bit more about the struggle that this young man from a young age, almost like the movie. And I'll be honest, that's something that, and I'll be honest, all right, that's something that what's his name, Snyder did
Naija?
well. Yeah, Snyder. Yeah, Snyder did well. Yeah, did well. Where he let us understand that this was a 21 year old college jock who was enjoying living his best life until this accident happened. And at times, you almost feel like he wouldn't mind if he had died on that operating table, rather than him being this half man, half machine, unable to live a full life character that he now is. I got that impression from the film, and it's not something that I've ever gotten from the book. It's something that we should lean into a little bit more. But the way he's written most of the time, it just feels like a bland, nothing character.
It's very
Support
bland.
cast, who they're like, yeah, can you hack into Apocalypse again? And be like, yeah, sure thing, Batman. Yeah, the boom tubes are open. Go, go, go. It just seems like a very supporting character. But I haven't read this book, so I don't know if it's the
So
same.
yeah, that mentioned something about him before we talk about this book.
Okay.
Let's not even get to that yet. About the character that they don't lean in on his blackness a lot. I don't think in the history of Cyborg, I've never thought of him as the black dude. He's black, but it's not like Black Lightning where there
It's
is
very
racial
important.
justice
Yeah,
and
it's very important
everything.
too.
It's just like a character that happens to be black, and I think for me, I like that about him. It's not every black character I wanted to push their blackness in front.
I agree.
Yeah,
100% agree with that.
being black should not be the first and most important thing about some characters, and I like that about Cyborg. Now, for me, one of the biggest problems with Cyborg is that you can see how much potential this guy has as an interesting character. Like, the key conflict for Cyborg is maintaining his humanity versus his robotic aspect. Like, trying to balance, am I still human? How much technology is too much technology? At what point do I turn into an android? The sci-fi fan in me sees so much possibility with that story. Like, it's a thesis ship story. How many parts from an human being can you take away and replace with machine before it's no longer a human being? You can do so much possibilities with that. Yeah. But they just reduce him to this stupid character that everybody just hit and is bland. They tried pushing him in, what's it called, New 52, where they promoted him to the Justice League, and then just wasted him. And they wrote
even there, exactly.
Yeah.
Even in the sorry for but even in the exactly like you said, it was just like still a supporting. Batman is giving him instructions on what to do. I think the closest I saw to him having, personally, because maybe I never really read it enough, was where I think he had like an alter ego called Grid. It was like the bad version of him.
Yeah, I hated that either.
I hate that storyline. It wasn't an alter ego. It was like the machine part came out, and it was dumb. It was dumb.
And I'm sorry. Go on today. Go on.
No, like I'm saying that Cyborg is fascinating to me. This is like you mentioned, a kid that is dealing with. This is not what he wanted in his life. He's trying to deal with the struggles of disability, trying to balance. Like this kind of person that is thinking identity crisis, going to identity crisis. There are so many ways you can write him to be relatable to people. He doesn't like how he looks. He doesn't like how he feels. It's a very fascinating character. And you give this person to a good writer, they can do it. But you see them giving it to a list of random people that they will announce, we are doing a Cyborg book this year. And it's one random person that will come and write the most dumb story possible. And you just vex. Like, even the New 52 book, it still vexes me to today. Like, he just writes the blandest, stupidest plot possible. And just, it's vexing to read. It's always vexing to read.
So this one is just as bad. Is it bad or is it just bland? Is it like just dead? Like
it's well, to make matters worse is the art. The art is terrible.
So I looked at the art; it's really bad.
Yeah. So the art is terrible. So when you take the art, so now that I've read it, and I read it a few days ago, and in my mind I've walked away. This is terrible. Now that I'm thinking about it, I wonder how much that's influenced by the art, and maybe the comic is just meh. But in my mind, the combination of both the story and the art equals to a very bad book. I would not recommend it to anybody. I normally, when I read the number one, because this is a new issue, a new starting issue one, I normally save it on my iPad for me to get issue 2, so I can read them 1 and 2 together. I always do that. I deleted it as well instantly.
Now, for context, Dapo finished the Flash TV show.
Which is actually not true. I did not. I finished Green Arrow. I didn't finish Flash. Yeah. I, I,
Particularly better.
I
Okay.
I need to mention something about Cyborg. I mean, Kex waxed lyrical about Snyder Cyborg. I didn't like him there either. I thought he was a whiny bitch, personally. Didn't like him. Didn't like him in that either. But I have seen him
Like
in
I'm
one.
just saying,
I've seen Cyborg in two places that I think I liked. I liked
Which
him. I
one?
liked
Doom
the
Patrol?
cartoon version. Teen Titans Go.
Teen Titans Go, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, I
oh,
like
yeah.
Cyborg in there.
What's that?
I also actually like Cyborg,
In Doom
which
Patrol.
surprised me in Doom Patrol.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know,
I like the guy. The guy has charisma. The Doom
Yeah,
Patrol boy has
yeah,
charisma.
yeah. So that was well done. But yeah, the book
Yeah.
itself, I would definitely not recommend it to anybody, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
a definite do not read. The story is bad. It's the most
Mm.
basic story possible. You have Cyborg going to Detroit to go and be the hero of Detroit because he's black.
Yes.
You have the new girl. You have the new businessman that is in charge of a new black businessman that is obviously the Lex Luthor bad guy. And then at the end, you have the dad coming back as a robot as well. And you're like,
Yeah, yes.
oh
Oh God.
God, this is stupid. And then you have the art that is just, I don't know why they keep doing this so important. These are some of the most important black characters they have, and they keep doing this consistently to them. Get a good writer on Cyborg, please. Give it to someone like Christopher Priest. He will do something fantastic with Cyborg. You can have see at this point, you don't need to get a black writer to write Cyborg. Get a good white writer to write Cyborg.
Let me be honest. And
Yeah.
I know I started by saying earlier that Cyborg is a character that is black, but his blackness never really occurs to me because
Yeah.
it's not something that they lean into. And
Yeah.
you were right to point out today that is not an issue. You know, if the character is good, the character is good. You don't need to lean into blackness. You actually mentioned Jon Stewart. I think Jon Stewart is a good character. I don't think he also leans into his blackness either. But he's
Yeah.
just a good character, and hence I like him. And he's black, and I like him because oh, there's a black character that's good and interesting.
Yeah.
Now you mentioned Black Lightning. Black Lightning 100% leans
Yeah, of course.
into his blackness.
Yeah, he's a black man with
Yeah,
black
but
kids. Yeah.
The way he leans into it, I actually think I hate it because he comes across to me like establishment apologist, almost.
Who does?
Black Lightning.
Who?
Black Lightning. Yes. And yeah, I've never. To be honest, I don't hate the character, but I almost dislike a lot how he's been handled. Now,
like him.
weirdly enough, when he had kids, there's a period of time when he wrote the kids, and the dynamic of the kids versus him in the comics was actually quite interesting because they were more, what I say, more. I'm doing air quotes here, more pro-black than he ever was. So there was a generational divide between him and the daughters, and that kind of actually worked well for a while. Especially, I think it was part of the GSA storyline. That was quite good. But yeah, I don't. When it comes to DC and black characters, I don't really
rate their abilities.
Rate them, their efforts with them.
So who would we say is? And I know this sounds weird, but yeah, it's probably. I was going to say who would we say is the best one? It would be
in DC.
Yeah, the best black character, or the one that we think is most.
I would say
best defined.
I
like Terrific, but I would go with Jon Stewart. I like Terrific a lot.
Oh, Jon Stewart, yeah.
But I don't think he's been built out enough. Yeah, like.
I mean, the other character I was going to mention, but she does not get a lot of airtime.
Nixon?
Yeah.
No, she doesn't get a lot of airtime. In the comics.
Yeah, she doesn't get
at all.
She doesn't get enough.
Why I mentioned Terrific was the last book by Tom King.
I mean,
I really liked him.
Yeah,
and then Jon Stewart, I hated him in his own book.
Did you ever read
the
Terrifics?
No, I opened the first issue. Fantastic Four copycat. I deleted it.
Yeah, it's kind of like that.
It was.
It's kind of like that. It's kind of like that. And he goes on adventures and stuff. Yeah, it's kind of like that.
It was. There's no doubt about it. It was that.
Okay.
So,
okay, cool.
Any other major black characters from?
Can I mention somebody? Who was that? X?
No, in DC. They have to be in DC.
Yeah.
No,
I like Val-Zod.
Val-Zod is good.
I like Val-Zod, but Val-Zod
even Presidents.
We haven't seen him a lot.
Ellis.
Yeah.
Even Ellis.
I would take a full book on both of them.
I would take a trade paperback. I would. I
Yeah,
would.
and I
Yeah.
mean a pop. And this year, I don't mean where they go on multi-dimensional adventure because your
Just their
multi-dimensional
own story in
sucks.
their own
I
world.
want their own
Yes.
story in their own world.
Yes.
Give us
Yes.
that.
Don't bring them here. Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. That's good. It can't be that hard. Come on, guys.
No, I struggle with this. Honestly, I'm trying to think now.
Uh,
Okay, there's this
oh,
sidekick who was meant to be
I am Batman.
Well,
I
this
am Batman.
still
Jace,
Wallace. No, I'm
no, I
Jace.
talking
beg.
what? Sorry,
No, I'm throwing
Jace,
names out.
what name did you just
Jace
throw in?
Fox. Jace Fox. I am Batman.
Oh, come
Jace
on.
Fox. I'm
No,
throwing names here. I'm
No,
thinking here.
no.
Lucius Fox's son.
Phil and Natasha.
Right.
Ah.
So can I say something here today?
Okay.
Yeah.
Wait. Can I preempt you? I'm gonna say.
Okay, sorry, go on.
Are you gonna say that Steel is like a boy to Superman?
Not even
Boy,
that.
boy, Superman, it will be better.
It's
Yeah,
kind of a boy.
he's almost to me like it's still typical. He's John Henry Irons, the man that hit the railroads.
Yeah.
I just found it. Ugh. Come on, you can do better than this. It's based on to me, what is a trope of a character. I mean, I'm not used. I mean, I know it's American culture, it's an American story, but as soon as I saw that background, I was like, meh. This is almost like an ex-slave type person, in a costume. I prefer his daughter a million times more than him.
Oh yeah.
I like the updated backstory where he's not just wearing an iron suit, where it's actually nanotech. I think it was in New 52 they changed that, where he became an expert in nanotech and all of that. But oh well.
Yeah.
And I think the fact that we had what's this guy's name play him in the movie helped.
Yeah.
Who played him in the movie?
I think about Superman and Lewis.
Are you?
Oh, that didn't help. That's a bad movie. I don't know about the TV show.
You know what?
Movie.
I legit had that removed from my brain, and you just downloaded it. What kind of
Yeah.
We've forgotten one important black character.
Oh, Static Shock is good. Static Shock is very good.
So this says it all to me.
This now moves us to Milestone. But go on.
Yes, okay. And this says it all to me about DC. This is best effort at black characters was the whole Milestone imprint.
Yes.
Yeah.
And what did they do? One, they removed it from their universe, created a whole separate imprint for these characters, which was good. But why are these characters not part of the normal DC universe? I don't see any reason why not. And then when they were able to then get rid of them when they needed to. Yeah. And if you remember, Static Shock had his own cartoon.
Very popular.
It was doing very, very well.
Very good cartoon, by the way.
Yeah. So I don't understand why they did not build on that. And sorry, I said I don't know why. I've read a lot of articles about what happened, and there's a lot of things going on. Now, I don't like throwing around the world racism, but there was things about where they found it easier to get rid of, compared to other stuff. There's a lot of politics. You could go online. I think something even came out about a month ago, where somebody also went back into it again, reading about why Static Shock, especially Static Shock himself, did not take off in the comics and books. Now, DC started again with this Milestone imprint.
Yeah,
they're running currently. Some of these books are good. I won't lie. I enjoy it, and to be honest, I think some of the best black characters that DC, I'm doing air quotes again, have done. I've been the ones in Milestone. I like Static Shock. I loved Rocket and Icon, especially Rocket. Hardware, which was like a kind of a black Iron Man.
Yeah.
I liked him enough. He's not my type of character, but some people actually felt more for him because he was more of the angry black man type, And then we had that group called the Blood Syndicate. Is that correct?
Something Syndicate.
Yeah, the Syndicate.
Yeah. So they were like gangbangers who had powers. But the way that whole Milestone thing was handled is annoying.
So I will tell you why I've always struggled with Milestone characters.
Yeah.
Like even the recent Static Shock that they did, I like the art. I like what they were trying to do. I liked his hair. They kind of rejazzed the whole. They brought it into modern times. They rejazzed it. My challenge with it is because it existed in its own universe that was outside of the typical DC universe. I I struggle to get into it. Like
Mm.
it's this is why Miles works so well. Miles interacts with everybody else, with Misty, with Iron Man, with the champions, with so it doesn't feel like, oh, they are black. Don't bring them where the Igbo people are. What's your problem? Like, don't bring them where
Yeah.
it's not like that. It's mix him up. Let Static meet Batman. Let him meet, like, give him a little more street cred in air quotes by allowing him to mix it up with these, like, your popular characters. So that brings him a little bit more into the mainstream, not just segregate
And
him
I think
from
that's part of the
the world.
issue. I think the tone of Static Shock itself,
Yeah,
like the urban. Let me use
that's the word. Thank you,
let, let,
thank you.
let me use the word I
That's
use. The
that's
urban
yes.
feel of Static Shock. I don't think it fits nicely with the general tone of DC Universe. I think you can make it fit, but
You
I think
could. It's doable, but they don't.
but I think the suits are not
Yeah,
that comfortable
they
to make
don't.
put it in there, and that's why it doesn't happen. There's no
I
reason
mean,
why those guys should
yeah,
not be in the main DC Universe.
there's no reason. Like
I mean,
Miles is
you're writing
clear.
a main
Yeah.
universe, and you want someone like Icon there when they have their
Ooh.
Superman.
Yes, that's true. That would be another problem. Can you
I
imagine
mean, it's
Icon
not.
and
It's not. I mean,
It's
Shazam.
possible, but like,
Shazam, who
no?
we're going to talk about, is literally.
I said that's another problem, and but when I say that's another problem, if this was Marvel, they would love that problem. I go,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah,
let's bring him. Let's him.
yeah,
Friction between him and Superman.
yeah.
Because there has to be
There should be for
a
exactly. There
conflict
would be. Yeah, yeah,
of
yeah,
ideologies.
yeah.
And don't get me wrong, the way they even wrote Icon itself, Rocket itself has a clash with Icon on the ideologies of what have you been doing all these hundreds of years? You had all these powers. There's almost a Black Pantherish type storyline Rocket, where Rocket feels Icon did not do enough for people of color.
yeah.
But then there was this whole argument, and I think they've used this argument from John Jones before, where are you just pretending to be black? You're not black. This is someone trying to say that.
John Jones is another one, but we can't really call him
Yeah.
black. Yeah. John Jones is another one,
But
but
you
we can't
see,
really call him black.
this is the problem. All these characters have great stories that can be told, and
Yes,
yet
indeed.
they still give us this insipid nonsense that we get. They like this annoying cyborg book that still vexes me. It's like when you think of DC, like this. I love DC, but they can vex somebody a lot because there's no point. We can't have all these characters be more because for me, several of these characters on the pitch level are more interesting than Black Panther. Black Panther is only interesting
Mm.
because it's super cool. These
Yeah,
guys
Yeah.
actually have interesting stories you can mine for days.
yeah,
But
yeah,
DC,
yeah. Anyway,
yeah.
yeah. So okay,
Can we move
so
on?
that was Cyborg. Yeah. So let's.
After that long sideline,
Yeah.
Cyber
Sorry.
One,
Yeah.
don't buy it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't buy it. Don't read it.
Don't buy it.
Okay. So I want to talk a little bit about this chap who I don't
Chat.
know how I feel about him. And the thing is, I used to like the guy. Don't get me wrong. I still think he has something, but the guy is just prime 7 Up light. He is when you mix Sprite and a lot of water. That's what the guy is. The guy, in fact, not even the guy just has no substance at all, and that is Mark Millar. So these guys were talking about Nemesis Reloaded last week, and I was like, okay, on the group chat, and I said, let me give it some time. I wanted it to finish because I know he's going to write a short story anyway. So let me catch it when he finishes it. So he's written issues 1 to 5 of Nemesis Reloaded as Mark Millar under the Image banner. I picked it up and I read it. And as I was reading this, and I was getting angrier and angrier that I was wasting my time on this stuff because it was the silliest. It felt so puerile, so childish. Like this guy was. It was just like he brought this character who was. I don't know if you remember, but if you ever read his Nemesis, he is a super villain, a master super villain, genius. He's the Batman. He is the Batman if Batman was bad, like a proper bad
Yep.
person. We're talking about a billionaire, wears a costume, funds crime, does the most audacious heists and crimes, kills blatantly, highly trained, highly intelligent, highly motivated. He is Batman without a conscience and
Yep.
an evil version of Batman. So, what Mark Millar is trying to do here is to tell us a little bit about the guy's history, about how he came about, including his how his motivations for becoming what he is, some of the training that he went through, and in modern day now what he's doing. And in modern day now, what he did is he basically held Los Angeles to a siege. I don't want to tell too much about it because the premise in what he does to break LA kind of is kind of intriguing. It's I mean, you could write honestly, I feel you could write 10 comic books on on what he set up, basically saying, look, this is how I'm going to bring the police force to its knees. And that's a really compelling, really good idea. But Mark Millar does it in maybe an issue and a half.
Yep.
And before you know it, LA goes from just what a somewhat stable state to, like, a city, sorry, to it brings it to its knees. And I'm like, look, this is something you could mine. There's so much behind this, but because you cannot be bothered to go deep, you're just like, look, let me just do the simplest. Let me just do gang, 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 gang. Does like so many
Yep.
action
Yep.
scenes. I'm like, just, and the art is good. It's Jorge Jimenez. I'm like, just this man annoys me now. Mark Millar. He's a very, very surface character. Before we came into this, I was like, this guy he might be the Snyder of comic books. And then somebody said no, he's not. And I was like, you know what, that's actually not fair to Snyder. He might be the Michael Bay
Yeah.
he
No.
might
Well,
be the Michael Bay of comic
I,
books.
I,
He's the
I was gonna
Michael
say.
Bay of comic books.
Maybe
I was,
yeah.
I was even gonna say. Have you read this today? By the way, before I say what I'm gonna say, have you read
No,
Nemesis?
I'm not reading Nemesis.
Do you know what this comic reminds me of? Kex. Fast
Uh,
X.
yes.
It's Fast X.
It has no logic. There are some things I'm like, anyway, it's something that you would read in a Batman book, where there's a bit where, listen to this. There is a character in a helicopter, in the back of the helicopter, and what's his name? Nemesis is on a bike or a car or something, and then he does vroom vroom vroom, and then he revs up, and then he hits a ramp, flies up in the air, jumps off the bike into the helicopter, goes through the helicopter with the guy out the other side. So it basically is like a high speed kidnapping,
Yep.
like just like go through the vehicle, like he went through the helicopter out the other side and like grabbed the character he was after and then flew out the other side, like same thing in one swift movement. And I was like, okay, this is bullshit, but this is exactly the kind of bullshit that Batman has been feeding us for a long time. And I know who gave him that idea. It was Jorge Jimenez because he did it during a Batman run. Where do you remember that Mad Molly or
Yeah. Yeah.
Molly?
Yeah. 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 Mama.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 Batman did something like that as well. I was like, this is the person that is enabling you because you keep getting good artists. When they give you a shit artist and nobody reads your book, then you'll be like, okay, maybe this my ideas. Like, it's
But,
just
and I
cheap
think
entertainment that is just holds no water. Yeah, go on.
I think Matt Miller, what he's good at doing is always ensuring he has a good artist.
Always has a good
So
artist.
so he writes great set piece action pieces that is a dream for this artist to
Yes,
draw.
yes.
And
Always
and
set pieces.
so it's visual
Yeah,
spectacle
yeah,
and excitement on a
yeah.
page, but the story is
It's
paper thin,
always it's this
paper
one is
thin,
especially bad.
and if you
Ugh.
dig any deeper, it falls apart very quickly.
Yeah, man, he is exactly Michael Bay. Or maybe like is it Justin Chen or what's his name? Fast and Furious guy.
Yeah,
It's
just
just
yeah.
like
I mean, especially this Nemesis book is one of the worst
it's I
for this
was
excess.
oof.
Every issue had 2 or 3 big set piece action
Yeah,
pieces,
yeah.
and there's a lot of wanton killings, a lot
God.
of wanton bloodshed.
Oh my God.
The
There's this.
villain
Can I
is
just say this?
winning.
Can I
Yeah, go
spoil
on.
this bit
Yeah,
here?
go on.
There's a bit where so the mayor, because LA has been like the cops in LA are being killed, the mayor now calls in the National Guard. The National Guard are coming in. So what's his name? So Nemesis has his guys behind him in trucks, right? And then he stops in front of the National Guard and he's like, "You guys, I'm giving you one last chance to turn around and go before I kill all of you. Kill all of you." And then they're like, "No, what are you gonna do?" And then we snap to a flashback where he's like, "Okay, how do you get your own private suicide bomber? This is what you do. You start with some sexual blackmail." So he's telling the story of how he
You created,
blackmails.
yeah,
Yes, he created a suicide bomber. A lady who was a pilot. He seduced her. He had somebody seduce her. The person that seduced her was like a mature-looking 17-year-old. They got pictures. They blackmailed her. They they blackmailed her to have sex with some other people. They now have more videos and more stuff to incriminate her. And then they steadily start building her. Okay, they now ask her to
yeah.
kill this person. Otherwise, they're going to tell her family or let the PTA know. And then they steadily start escalating the crimes until the point in which they now convince her to fly a plane because she's a pilot to fly a commercial jumbo jets into the National Guard as they're coming into LA. How does this make sense, for goodness sake? From this man slept with a 17-year-old, you now got her to kill all these servicemen, all because you promised that you're not going to release the poor tape that she did to the PTA.
I was okay. I was actually concerned about
For the months.
how his mind works. Because what you just described, I think, was over like 2 or 3 pages only.
Yes, yeah, maybe like 2
And,
pages.
and I'm thinking, Mark,
like
do
2
you actually
pages.
think this makes sense?
Do
It-
you think this through?
yeah, and it's and he did all of that so that this woman
Oh yeah, yeah.
is
The
a
kind of
pre-plan because he knew that.
yeah,
Oh, I know they're going to call on the National Guard at one point.
yeah,
So I'm going to make sure I have the
yeah,
suicide bomber ready to fly a
yes.
plane into the National
A
Guard
plane,
on
a
cue.
commercial plane, because there's a pilot behind her who she's killed,
And,
and
and, she,
while
and,
she's
she,
flying
and, she,
down, she's
and she
crying
does it.
tears as she does it.
Yeah.
Come on.
Mm.
Yeah,
So
it's ridiculous.
Okay,
when you
so
guys
let
Yeah,
started
me.
talking, I
yeah,
Yeah.
was with you guys on Mac Miller Socks. So most of his book, this kind of book is bad. But Dapper mentioned something Fast X, and it changed my
yeah,
mind a bit. That
yeah,
there's a market for this book, and it's not us basically. Same way there's a
yeah.
market for Fast X. It's not writing for people that read comic books. It's just looking for people that want to be cheaply entertained. We are so
I
used to the kind of high
completely
quality books that we
and
get.
utterly agree with you.
So this book is just for cheap entertainment. Turn off your brain off completely, throw
He
I
it
can also
away, and read.
I can I can also imagine a world. Well, sorry, why am I saying imagine a world? I can imagine very
Live
soon
in the world.
some people will grab hold of that book, and before you know it, they'll be talking about, oh, Nemesis has feet. Nemesis has this feat, that feat. He can beat He can beat Batman. Yeah, I can see it coming. And how to read it.
That's the lifeblood of comics now. That's
Yeah,
always been the lifeblood of
exactly
comics.
versus battles.
Yeah.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I absolutely exactly what you said today. There is a market for this because he is one of the golden boys of Image.
Yeah.
He
yeah.
is definitely, because he writes, he finishes, he pushes his out, and in a year you'll get
He
at least 2 books from him.
finishes.
You get at least 2 books from
If
him that he
it's
wants
a
out.
you get a complete story from Mac Miller, no matter
Yeah,
what.
yeah,
Yeah.
6 issues, he has
yeah,
told you a complete story.
yeah,
He's not going to write 30 something issues and leave you to forget about you or drop
yeah.
an issue once every year, like some other authors.
I told you I've left that book for you people. Tell me how we did.
So
So yeah,
yeah.
I'm going to say don't read this. But however, it's a little bit like saying don't watch Fast X. Your kind of
Mm,
book, then this is your kind of book. If you read comic books for good art, lots of action, then you're going to enjoy this. But if you want any real depth, and you could want both, you could get both. I mean, you could read this and then read something that's a little more filling.
yeah.
But for me, it's a no. But however, you might like it. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah,
I mean, if I was going to
let me say nothing.
describe this, I would say to people, if you want a nonsense 5 minute diversion, no brains, lots of action, lots of feats,
Yes.
and you might enjoy this book.
I mean,
Yeah.
there was a bit there during his training as a child where he was talking about he went to Yosemite Park
Yeah.
in the States.
But
And I
that is
think
so cool.
listen, no, listen. No. As a child, as part of his training, they now told him that he should climb up a waterfall and he should hang there for 3 days.
Oh God, I remember. Yes.
now
3 days.
imagine you are a 9-year-old child reading that. You just go, wow,
That's so
Yeah,
awesome.
cool. So awesome.
yeah. It's heavily Batman influenced
It's too heavy. It's
uh,
he
to the
said he had to
extreme.
climb down.
Yeah,
The boy had to climb down the pits that took him days. Are you
yeah,
joking?
yeah. Oh yes.
Come
It's full of
on.
over the top ideas of how you
Uh-uh.
No,
become this super
Uh,
super fit, super athletic, super smart
super
criminal.
everything. Oh, man, please. Anyway, let's jump on to another book.
Yeah.
yeah. So
I
for
want to
this
talk.
one, you can read it.
Yeah,
It's readable if you like this kind of
It's
if you
really
like
thing.
good.
that kind
Yeah,
of stuff.
it's really
If
good.
you
And it's
like
only
that
six
kind
issues.
Just to read
Yeah,
yes,
it.
or
yes.
five rather.
Yeah. But just to read it, as bad as we are doing on this, cyborg is boss. Do not bother reading it, no matter who you are.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Let's continue.
Cyborg is. We agree on that. We agree on that. I do want to
Yeah.
talk about one book now. And this is one that I tried not to like this book because I wanted to wind up. I tried not to like this book because I wanted to yap this book. I wanted to pinch him because I was reading the book even before. To be honest, when this book was announced and they said who was writing it, and who would be drawing, I was like, I'm gonna like this book. Oh, this
Mm.
book is going to be nice. But let me just hope and pray that it's not. But I really enjoyed this book, and I'm talking about Shazam #1. I liked this book. From the
Okay,
same team that brought you.
before you carry on,
Let me finish now.
what's the name what's the name of the character in this book, please?
Let me finish now.
Okay,
Let me
all right,
finish
okay, carry on.
It's
now.
Shazam.
Okay.
Oh, from the same team that brought you Batman and Superman World's Finest, which is a
Yep.
nice book by DC, and they're the perfect people to bring you this character, and that is the Captain in Shazam #1. Uh yeah, that would you want to tell us a little bit about this book? Oh, no, it's
Yes.
not easy, bruv.
It's Mark Waid is
Yeah,
clearly a fan of this character,
yes.
and he's been able to get his hands on on this comic book, and this is his first issue, and I think he delivers. And basically, what happens here? We're reintroduced to the captain. A lot of you people listening will know him as Shazam. People who are of a certain age will know him as Captain Marvel previously. In this book, one of the things that happens in this book is there's a lot of taking him back to the original character. They've not taken him back fully, but the process has begun. So, I mean, the first thing we notice is his costume is no longer the Shazam costume. It's now clearly the old school Captain Marvel costume,
And it looks
and
good.
it looks very good.
It looks
Yeah,
good.
it looks very good. They quickly let us know that he's called the captain. Now, the reason why it's called a captain is almost like it's like as a joke
Yeah, like an
in the
inside joke.
comic.
Yeah.
Inside joke is called a
Yeah.
captain, and he's looking to see how he can give. And the rest of the family no longer have powers, apart from Mary.
Very, yes.
So Mary still has powers. Nobody else has powers. So there's what I would say they've gone back to basics almost
Yes.
in
Yes.
this book.
Yes.
And they're taking the story from there. And he's doing this heroism. He's doing it with a smile on his face. He's
Yeah.
cheerful.
You know one thing I also like.
Yeah,
Can I
go on.
interrupt
Yeah,
you?
yeah, jump in.
He talks about where he's like this is the first sensible explanation about the wisdom of Solomon.
Okay,
And he's
yes.
like, and you guys ask me because he was like, look, when I'm the captain, I can eat whatever I want, I can do whatever I want, I'm super strong, I process food faster, like that kind of thing. I can eat ice cream all day and not be sick. But the problem is there is this guy that is always whispering in my ear. There's almost like he almost like has a conscience that's constantly like, you should exercise more. You should eat more if you want to. And that is how the wisdom of Solomon in this one works. So it is constantly in his ear, telling him the best ways,
like a nagging parent.
like a nagging parent, constantly telling him what he should be doing. So, in order to avoid that, he will revert back to Billy and just be like, "Oof, thank God, now I can live my life." Because in essence, he's still a kid
Yeah.
and he wants to do kid things. So when he was talking about that, I was like, so you might ask, why am I not the captain all the time? Well, there's this guy that was always in my ear, man. So I just switched back to Billy. I just live my life. And I was like, okay, I like that. I like that. Yeah. So again, like that was said, we're reintroduced to the character. And then at the end, something happens.
I like. Okay, so I don't want to. I don't
I
want to
don't want to
spoil
say
it for
too
anybody
much,
who
but I
wants
like
to
it.
read it.
But I like
But
it too.
what happens at the end is a big contrast to what comes before,
Yes.
and for that contrast, it lands harder. And I almost went, "Oh God!" Oh, I always felt
Yes.
for the character. Oh
Yes.
God!
That's how I felt. Yeah, yeah,
You know.
yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, everybody knows I'm a big Captain Marvel fan. So I'm just happy that a lot of elements are coming back. And I can't, in this comic, did they call her Mary? They called him. I can't remember. They called her Mary Marvel, didn't they?
I think he just said Mary. I don't think he said Mary Marvel. I
Okay,
think he just
okay.
said
I
Mary.
thought they
So
could.
what that
Okay,
does.
that's
Yeah.
fine. But I'm quite happy with the book. I mean, it's only one issue. So far, so good. And there's talk about I think he's trying to get the powers back
Can I tell you
for
something? Oh,
Freddy.
sorry,
Yeah,
sorry, sorry.
yeah, go on.
I'm
No,
going to
no,
say something that really, really annoying. Sorry. So at the beginning, a dinosaur falls off a cliff, and then he flies. Today, did you read this?
Yeah.
oh, he
Okay.
did. Okay,
And
okay.
then he flies after the dinosaur, and he's like, "You might ask me why I don't just catch it or
Mm,
go under and push." And he was like, "Look, I would punch right through the dinosaur if I tried to
yeah.
do that." So instead, like he creates basically a safety net, like he flies down really fast and then he builds a safety net. But I like little details like that. That's just like, look, I could catch it, but I would kill it if I did that.
Mhm.
It's not that he doesn't like have a is it biokinetic field or what is it
Yeah.
that Superman has? Is look, it's I'm super strong and I'm super fast and I'm super invulnerable. If I try to do that, the the dinosaur isn't any one of these things. So the only way I can save it is by I just like when little things like that in a comic book, like, oh god, okay, yeah, I like that. Okay, sorry, so go on. So at the end, contrast, you were saying.
Oh, yeah, no. I was saying the issue ends on a bit of a shocker, and
Yes.
you feel despair for the character as to what
That is the
happens.
word.
And so I kind of like I loved all of that.
Yeah, me too.
Now, my was not an issue. Obviously, I have hopes that they go the full hog. They go fully back to the old school. I'm not sure that's going to happen anytime soon. If I'm being honest, and I'm talking about his full name being Captain Marvel. I can't see that happening because I actually think Mark Waid is kind of doing it slowly, trying to get them used to the
Can
idea
I
of
be honest? I
yes,
prefer
go
the
on.
captain.
Well, just as the
I like the
captain.
joke. I
I
like the
prefer
joke
the
of
Okay,
the captain.
captain. I
okay,
prefer the captain by
I like
far.
it being a joking name. That they
okay.
call him the captain, not out of his
Yeah,
seriousness,
yeah,
but out of
Yeah.
the joke. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. But see, what else is happening is Mary's now Mary Marvel. I mean, she's made Marvel. She's definitely become Mary Marvel in Wonder Woman
Oh,
already
okay.
and other books. So what I can see is happening is if they could start calling her Mary Marvel, and if Freddy gets a name that also ends in Marvel, I can see very quickly how people also, even as a joke, oh, the captain, what is he Captain Marvel as well? Those kind of like inside jokes happening. But I mean, today, what did you think about this book? I want to hear today's views on this actually.
Yeah, I actually do like the book. It's Mark Waid is writing a kind of light DC with
Yes.
World Finest, and then this one. I didn't like World Finest. It's okay,
Okay.
but not my best type of book. But I really like this book. Like the scene where he says, "Oh, I'm training my strength," and he's bowling. I'm training my this
Yeah.
thing,
Yeah.
my flexibility, and he's dancing. Things like that. It's really funny. It gets to the heart of the matter with Captain Marvel. Like I'm absolutely like even the tea time with the dinosaurs. This is the
Yeah.
kind of
Yes.
Captain Marvel I want to
Yes.
talk about.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
fun. It's actually a kid going on adventure. There's that wish fulfillment aspect to it, which I think is the core of Captain Marvel. A
Yeah.
kid
Oh
gets
yeah.
superpowers and it goes
100%.
on full adventure. So it's there. It's really good. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
actually like World's Finest. I like it a lot.
I know you like it, but
I like it a
there's an
lot.
unseriousness to World Finest I don't like,
It
but
is
I
not.
like
Yeah,
it.
it is not a serious. It's not. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's not. It's not. It's
and
not.
you are very correct in saying this harkens back to the original Captain Marvel and the kind of spirit of the stories they had back then. It was a lot of fun. They emphasized the childlike wonder of the character, and in this comic, there's a lot the childhood of the character is very front and center. I mean, the his cave in the Rock of Eternity is like a mess. Where he
Exactly.
just putting lots of trophies. Yeah, so it's a great start for me. I hope Mark Wade can keep it up. I mean, Mark Wade is almost having like what I call a renaissance. Is
Yeah, a
that the
Yeah,
renaissance.
correct
That's the
word?
word. That's the word.
it
Yeah,
is.
because before he used to be great, and then he went away, and he was kind of
Yeah.
like middling, and
Yeah.
now he seems to be getting his groove back. So I'm quite happy for him.
Yeah, he's embracing what's this thing called the old comics, the hopeful comics of before.
Yeah. Oh,
He's not
yeah.
trying to tell serious stories nowadays,
Mm, mm,
and it works in a book like this for me
mm,
because
mm,
I don't expect this character to be serious. I don't expect
mm,
Captain Marvel to be serious at all. So
mm.
I love it in this kind of book.
Okay.
And I've said it about many times in World Finest, where Superman and Batman, I take them a bit more seriously to be that unserious with the plot.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
No,
like
I get it.
the old time travel, fighting Neza, that kind of thing. Like there's a bit less stakes and what's it called?
I I
It,
I I get you, but
mm,
it's I don't know. I really really enjoy it. I know what you mean, and
yeah, but yeah,
deliberately, it's that
I
kind of a book. It's not a serious book at all.
yeah.
I mean, Batman wears his grey and blue there. You know, you've still got Robin in pixie boots and green tights, but there's just something about the book that I like.
There's something about that book. I know people will love that kind of book, but yeah, that one is that kind of book I can say, oh, this book is not for me, but it's a great book I can recommend for almost anybody.
Yeah,
Okay.
gotcha, gotcha.
This one, I love this book, and I think I'll continue reading it.
When was the show? I bought a hard copy of it. I had to
Are
get a
you
What?
hard
serious?
copy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
bought. Yeah,
I bought a hard copy. Yeah,
I'm sure of that. I'm sure that would have bought that
Yeah,
yeah.
I'll probably wait for the volume 1 and
for the
see if
graphic.
it holds up. But yeah.
So
So we are saying this is a good one.
a good
Oh,
one.
100% recommending Shazam #1. Guys,
Yeah,
get on it.
yeah.
Learn how the character is really meant to be. Forget the last 6, 7 years or 8 years of Jeff Johns nonsense.
Just
And let's
delete
just
any existence of Shazam for the past 20 years.
yes, yeah. No, I
Any,
agree. Yeah.
yeah, and just read this one.
Yeah, let's
Just
take this.
start with
Yeah, start anew.
yeah,
Start anew with this. I actually, if I wanted to get like, I don't know. It might be too late for my kids. If this is finished, like, or when it's a good collection, I would love to buy, as you said, the hardcover and give it to my kids to read.
yeah.
You
It's a
know,
good.
yeah.
Yeah, it's fun. Okay, cool. So I think that was the last one we had for
So there's
tonight.
No,
another
no,
number one
no.
issue.
There's one there.
Which
There's
one?
one there. Don't try and dodge it. Your,
Titans.
your,
Titans. Okay,
yeah,
sorry. Titans.
Yeah,
your friend.
I,
Yes.
I haven't read it now. Leave my guy now.
I like your guy, but he did not try at all.
I haven't read this one, so I can't speak to it. So to do that one, do you guys want to take this one?
I do not like this book at all. At all.
Wow. That's
There's no like at all. It's annoying to read
what
this
book
kind
is
like Titans. So
Oh, I know, I
yeah,
okay.
yeah. So this is supposed to be the new Justice League, right? You are
Yes.
introducing the Titans as Justice League has disbanded. They are stepping into filling the big boots of Justice League. There is a clash with them trying to figure out how they play with Amanda Waller and Peacemaker, and there is all this, and yet it's like Teen Titans Go, basically. Like you take the plot of you have all these serious things happening, and you take the plot of Teen Titans Go and you show it. That's what this book is like, and it doesn't make any sense. Tom Taylor is better than this. This book, it's not it at all. You are restoring all these characters to their previous versions. Oh well and good.
Yes.
I don't particularly care. I'm not. I wasn't following their stories before now. Some of them have some trauma there, but like the main plot sequence, it's so cartoony, it's so without stakes. They are fighting some villains, and it's so boring to read about. It's like I am like it's definitely not worth it. The hook at the end where oh somebody is dying, and I'm like I don't care. I can't
So
recommend books to anybody.
yeah, and I think the biggest issue here is the whole premise of this story is there's no Justice League anymore in this universe. So Titans is now the premier super team in DC. So this book is meant to be right. We're stepping up into these big shoes. But this book, when you read this story, it feels nothing close to the level of where Justice League operates at. And they still feel like sidekicks, if that makes any sense to me.
Yeah.
And I just, to they mention it, they've kind of reset the characters back to their default settings in terms of, so that in the previous comic, there were certain damages that happened to certain characters. They quickly cured all of that, literally off panel and maybe in one panel, just to make them look like the Titans of, I don't know, 15 years ago. But this is not Justice League. You know, when you think of Justice, when you think of Superman, Batman,
Yeah.
and what they deal with, like Green Lantern, that
These
scope.
guys can replace them.
I mean,
Yeah.
I cannot imagine these guys flying off
Right.
planet to go solve a problem.
No,
Like,
so now
can't.
here's my issue with this. I actually can't imagine it. If you
Yep,
can
I
properly.
can.
Yes. If you
No,
look
no,
at the characters, there's only one
And the
character in
powers
here
they have.
that I think is useless. The rest, their power sets. You got Wally West. He's up there with any flash of any region.
You've got Donna Troy.
You got Donald Troy. You've got Nightwing. Let's give Nightwing his due. I might always
It's a
have a go
Batman. Yeah.
at Dick Grayson. He's a good character and he can hang with the best.
You have
You
Raven.
have Starfire. Starfire is an alien, and she's a warrior alien as well. She can hang all day long. You have Raven.
I mean, Raven can hang comfortably with can beat up most Justice League members on our own.
Yes, and
So
you have Cyborg, which is a techno path or mage who could be used as somebody said for protection. The potential is there for them to be written to that level. This book does not do that at all.
this book
Does
takes
not do that.
Yeah, but it's not. Sorry, guys. But
Yeah.
it's not just this book.
But,
What
okay.
I mean is, okay. So what you're saying is these characters all have the potential, but
Yeah.
I've never seen them step to this level.
No, but
But
sorry,
this is what that was the
That's what
premise
should
of this
happen.
book.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah,
Yeah.
That's
so
the
this
premise
book-
of this book, that they're stepping
Yeah.
to that level, and then you give them fighting a monkey in
Yes.
nuclear power plant, and
I see.
and then you have Peacemaker coming down and shouting at
chat on
them.
them that why you fighting, why you know. It's like no now.
Yeah. This book is meant to have them make that step
establish
from where
them
they were
as,
to that level, but
Yeah.
it doesn't do that. It doesn't do that at all. It doesn't do that at all.
Because it would have been awesome if you had seen these characters taking on a very much bigger level threat
Yeah.
and
yeah.
showing the full range of their possible powers.
Yeah, it would have been
If
nice.
that
If they,
was
like,
what,
yeah.
Yeah.
But no, it's this kind of.
I mean, it would have been great if they went up against, like, I don't know, maybe like Amazo or the Masters
Or
of Evil or
something.
whatever it is that day, and then took down that team comprehensively,
Yeah.
and then without start taking them serious, and they're like, you know, there's a new group in town now, you know, so you allow even us, the readers, to
Yeah.
promote them in our
Oh,
minds from
Yeah. Like the
yeah,
Justice
from
League.
Savage or something. Yes.
And
Since
there's
Justice
one.
League came together taking down an alien threat, like an alien
Yes.
invasion. That we knew, okay, these guys are protectors of the world. These guys are fighting monkey in nuclear power plant and they're shouting. It's like
And there's one trope which I hate that's in this book. Now, let me very clear. They're not the only ones guilty of this. A lot of teams are guilty of this trope. I never understand why a super team has a headquarters in the middle of a city. It's just like asking for trouble. I never understand it. Whether it's Avengers, whether it's X-Men, and Teen Titans is the worst for it. They always have this big, massive T building right in the middle of a city. And they have one here now. And I really hate that trope for any team that does it. Even Fantastic Four, when they do it. Sometimes there's force feed around there, shoot, or we can move it, but
Yeah,
still,
but they always do it, don't they?
yeah.
Fantastic
But
Four.
I really hate it. I've always
No,
hated it.
Fantastic Four kind of makes sense because that's like a research institute, not
Yeah.
just a team building. So, but like Teen Titans, you're building a giant team. Take it somewhere else. Build on an island or
Yeah,
something.
and it's a new one. Why you? Why?
Yeah,
And,
why building it there?
and Titans is one of I think they must have the worst record for their building of all the teams being
You
smashed.
know, it's always yeah, it's always blown up. Always.
Well, because this book is disappointing because I was actually looking forward to the Titans taking up the reign as the premier team,
Yeah.
because that would have been an interesting change of pace of seeing
Yeah.
these guys hang with the big boys, being the guys to go to team to save. Like, it would have been interesting to read about, but no.
And,
Yeah.
and I want to make a comment about the arts.
Okay.
The art is okay, but also I think it lends to diminishing their power sets. When they draw like Starfire, there's a picture I'm looking at right now of Starfire flying. And you know when Starfire flies, her hair is almost like flame.
Her hair has that flaming thing
and it's
behind
big
it.
flaming. This was almost like a little trail of a sputtering flame, like almost like matchstick level flame. There's no majesty to the power sets.
Yeah.
That is, so it also makes them look like some B Tech.
Yeah.
Not even
They
B
look
Tech
like
Justice League.
Justice League.
It's like B Tech team.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm not happy with this at all.
damn it! It doesn't help. It doesn't help. Okay, so this one is it a watch and see or is it a no?
I'll probably drop it and wait for that one to tell me if it gets better.
You know that
Oh,
one, that
thanks,
man's
mate.
iPhone authors.
Yeah, but for me, at best, it's a watch and see. At best.
Okay. I will read it because I will read this.
Because Tom Taylor.
It's Tom Taylor
And his Nightwing for him.
and
You
it's
know.
Nightwing, and I like Titans. And if they're going to be taking over from kind of the Justice League, and this is going to be the new, and I'm doing air quotes here, Justice League book, I think I kind of need to jump on it. So I think I'll read it. I'll read it. I'll see what happens. It's Tom Taylor, so hopefully he won't disappoint me going forward. But okay, cool. So those were our 5 books that we said we were going to talk about.
Yes.
So we
Yes,
gave you guys no, wait, hang on. 2 strong recommends.
Yep.
1 do not read. No, 2 strong recommends, 2 do not reads, and 1 Titans, which is Titans. Just try and then let's see what happens next week.
Okay, so can you list the comments just to recap?
Okay, Descenders was a recommend,
Yeah.
and Shazam.
Yeah.
Okay, I put Nemesis Reloaded in do not read.
Yes.
Yes.
I said do not read it, but you might like it, but do not read it. And we put Cyborg in do not read.
Cyborg absolutely do not read. Absolutely not read that book.
I've legit deleted it.
I would like to say to our listeners, that I want to review I am Iron Man again.
Okay,
but when all
It's
5
done.
issues
Yes.
have landed.
Yeah, I've been enjoying it, but I'm
Yes.
definitely waiting for when all books are
Yes,
coming.
indeed.
yeah.
So
talk about-
if people thinking that we've forgotten about them, no, we haven't.
So
We
yeah.
Go on. Okay,
We've just had number 3, right? The Mother's Day
correct.
one was
Yes,
number
yes,
3.
correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I like
So
that.
I want to get that.
Yeah.
Read that for you, and then we can come back and review the whole
Agreed.
thing as a whole package.
I'll
But
see
yes,
it.
I'm with Tunde. I'm on board so far.
Likewise. I especially love that Mother's Day one. Okie dokie. Right, guys. Thank you so much for listening. Wow, it has been quite an episode again.
Yep.
As always, episode 133. Next week is episode 134. Please remember to rate, like, subscribe. Naija's Geeking Out on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And then next week we will be talking about comic books and why comic book sales are declining. What we think.
Yeah. Oh yes.
Yes, comic book sales are declining, and how can we reverse it? So, if we were the CEO / chairman / editor in chief / Jim Lees of Marvel, DC, and Image, what would we do to turn it around?
Yep.
Wow, big assignment. Okay,
Big
right,
assignment.
guys, say our goodbyes today.
Okay. Do not read Cyborg. Read everything. Goodbye.
That one.
And I will co-sign what Tunde has said. And thanks for listening. See you later.